Hey, joining us now is Richard Goldstein. He's the CFO and co-founder of CannTab Therapeutics. Richard, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Great. Yeah, it's been a while since the last time you were on talking specifically about CannTab, and I hear you were telling me you graduated on the OTC to the QB listing.
We started off on the QB, and then when we hit our third anniversary on April 20th, 4/20, 2019 of our incorporation, we were then qualified to go on to the QX. So now we are on the OTC QX, have been for a few months, trading under the symbol CTAB, CTAB, and then F for a foreign issuer, so CTABF.
Yeah, that's right. And on the CSE, you're under the ticker PILL, P-I-L-L.
P-I-L-L, yes, sir.
Awesome. So we noticed here you had some kind of renewed interest in the stock. It jumped up quite a bit. I believe it was on the 12th new volume coming in. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're not a big high trading stock, high volume trading stock. So when you have a day like that of 300,000 shares, we haven't had a day like that in a long time. I think you're seeing a lot of people standing around, watching us, seeing us develop. Lots of companies have begun generating revenue, and there's an expectation on CannTab generating revenue. And once that is done, I think you'll see even a lot more support. But as soon as some buying gets in, I don't know if it's fear of missing out or what, but it was just, some interest came in, and then others came in, and it got moved up. I think we had a high of around 78 on the day, but we closed, into the 60s, 65, I think it was. We're trading in the 60, 65 range, I guess, somewhere around there today. But no question, we had a little flurry of activity. We hope to have more trading and more interest behind the stock and getting more eyeballs and taking advantage of all our hard work.
For sure. And just for those who might not have been following the CannTab story, why don't you just give us a brief overview as to what your company does specifically? I mean, right now your market cap is in the $15–16 million range, so why don't you...
Yeah, and at $15–16 million, we certainly have a lot of assets and of capabilities, and have demonstrated in the past that we think we're deserving of a way greater valuation than the 15 or 16. But basically, we are a solid oral dose tablet company. We started in the pharma business. My co-founder, Jeff Renwick, has been 25 years in the pharma business. And so we took all of our knowledge and our people that we've gained inside that pharma business, including some technology that we had created many years ago, and then adapted it to the cannabis space probably almost 4 years ago.
Yeah. And on the 31st of July, you guys issued a press release, sort of a corporate update. Why don't we just go over some of that a little bit? So commercial batch manufacturing of oil-filled gel capsules, construction nearing completion and marketing. So what do you have going on right now, and what's sort of developing?
Sure. So, I mean, happening right now, I guess we are late-stage applicant to be a licensed producer, non-cultivator, so we don't intend to grow marijuana, but we do want to be able to process it if we want to. We certainly want to be able to handle oil and, more importantly, create finished product.
Right.
Capsules, which is approved today, will be made initially in Coburg at the facility there, and will be white labeled through a variety of licensed producers. I was on this show not that long ago with Clint Sharples at Heritage, and we've partnered up with them as well to provide them with product, at least capsules to begin with. Other LPs that we've talked to, certainly coming down the road, people are looking for a diversification of their product line, and capsules is one way to go. And capsules is important, and that's what's live today and what's being sold, and frankly, to a certain degree, not necessarily available, especially on the CBD side. But at the end of the day, we believe tablets are truly the medical answer, and so we call the capsules, if you will, the appetizer to the dinner, but the main course is tablets. An immediate release tablet, a flash melt that melts into the buccal cavity for quick release, an extended release that lasts over 18 hours, a bi-layer tablet that we're going to use in a clinical trial in the not too distant future, combining immediate release and extended release properties using both CBD and THC.
Okay, so to go over both just because I don't really know, the capsules, is there anything special about delivering cannabis? Is it different than, say, if you put something else in the capsule, or is it sort of the technology you have with the capsule that can be universally applied to anything?
A capsule is pretty much a commodity. It depends on what the original resin or oil that's used. Most capsules are essentially diluted 90-10. So you've got 10% of either CBD or THC, and then you have 90% of a carrier oil. They're all relatively the same. There are some negatives associated with capsules. There's not a long shelf life on them. They are not useful in terms of bypassing or tricking the liver and getting the lion's share of the active ingredient into the bloodstream. The liver cleans out a lot of the active ingredient from capsules, and then tablets are essentially cheaper, a longer lasting shelf life. They don't melt in your glove compartment if you went golfing and left your capsule supply in your glove compartment. But most importantly, we think it's the easiest. It's an aspirin. It's just as easy to take, looks exactly the same. And from a medical point of view, we think that's the way to go. And then as a result of today's announcement, needless to say, we're really, really excited.
Yeah, let's talk about that in just 1 second. But with the tablet, do you chew it or you just put it in your mouth? What do you do?
Good question. Actually, we both. The flash melt is actually something that you just sort of stick in. Tastes like almost like a little peppermint, if you will. Yeah. An Altoid, a mini Altoid, for lack of a better example, but almost like a candy. And it melts, and you can suck on it, and releases CBD and/or THC, depending on which one you've taken. Okay. But most are just swallowed with water.
Okay. And then, so to get into the release today, which is pretty exciting, the indication of patentability. So obviously, if you're able to sort of get a patent into the market in this, the field that you're in, that would be huge. So walk us through the process. You're looking to go down that road and have started, and what's left to happen along the way? What have you done so far?
So it all starts with this Geneva-based international authority, and what you do is you apply to them with your application and your desire to gain patent protection on your international portfolio of properties, et cetera, and most importantly, the intellectual property that we filed with them. And so they review that, and they take a look worldwide to see, in fact, are we infringing on anybody, et cetera, et cetera. And every company would use this base as a starting point. In fact, they have satellite offices that do all these reviews around the world. And so they actually appointed our file to their Canadian satellite office. And so on top of everything else, we have this Canadian satellite office of this international organization basically saying to us, yes, this thing is definitely patentable. And so we hope in the not too distant future, we'll receive patents where we've already applied in Canada, Australia, United States, and now we will go ahead and continue on in the EU.
Okay, great. So you have applied for those patents, and obviously having this indication is probably a big plus because it goes a long way to...
Well, it does. I mean, we are an IP-focused company. Yeah. We came out of pharma. We are using GMP standards. We have 13 patents filed. This is the first that we expect to receive approval on. At the end of the day, we expect to receive a handful of others, ranging from how we actually even just make the granulation from an oil, all the way to the sophistication of the extended release tablet and the bilayer tablet. But having said that, I mean, we're a Canadian-based company, but we're internationally focused. We can sell these tablets anywhere around the world, CBD, THC, in a combination of the two together with a variety of other terpenes, flavonoids, and cannabinoids, if you will, that we can introduce into any form of tablet and deliver it, in a very direct fashion, an easy to take fashion for all seniors and younger folk.
Because I've never filed for a patent, and I really have, I'm assuming there's a lot of legal stuff involved, but is there any way you could provide even the roughest of ballpark timelines from when you apply, assuming you have a good idea, to it actually being patented?
Well, it takes several years for sure. I think we filed our first patent, I don't know, maybe back in 2015, 16. Wow. Yeah. What happens is you file, and then eventually you get to the top of the pile and you get reviewed, and then there's comments from the examiner, and they review those comments with you and give you an opportunity to respond. We went through that whole process, and we didn't hear on the patent probably for a couple of years, and then over the last few months, we have heard back and felt that we would get this ultimately. And now with the release of the report from Geneva, we are confident. I can't tell you how long it takes per se.
Yeah.
It could go quick, it could go longer. What's most important is we're the brand now. What we've learned is there is nothing that has been filed, at least from an intellectual property portfolio perspective, that is out there in the world. And so we are first, we are the brand. We kind of grew up in the generic pharmaceutical industry, and to be number one, where people are going to try to do what you do, is a really great spot to be in, a spot that we think we can use influence right around the world.
Great. Well, Richard, thanks so much for the update. I'll be checking to see if the patent's coming through on probably a daily basis, because that's pretty exciting. So
It is. You'll send my best to James,
Absolutely.
and thank you for having me.
Cheers. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Twenty-one,